Hey! Radio voice Jordan here with episode 21 of the Imperfect Image Podcast.
And regular voice Ashley. Not quiet voice Ashley or work voice Ashley, which are kind of the same thing, but regular voice Ashley, who does not have a radio voice, is also here. Imperfect Image Podcast. Yes, episode 21 for any of those people out there who didn't understand a word that Jordan just said.
Anyone who doesn't speak radio personality.
Yeah, which, might be most of the people that listen to us.
Yeah.
21. We are into the twos. That age where life really gets serious for people. You can party everywhere. That's kind of what this podcast episode is telling us. We've settled in, and you're ready to settle in for another hour of partying with us.
Did you just give me permission to party?
I think I did. I don't know if you're...
MG girl, I am gonna party!
You drinking today or what?
Yeah, this episode brought to you by Gatorade Frost Thirst Quencher Glacier Cherry, crisp and cool, 140 calories per bottle, 591 milliliters, and a fuckload of sodium.
Why is this guy not being paid for advertisements? I do not know.
I've thought that sometimes. I wonder if I could be a commercial dude.
You kind of have the voice.
Wacky waving inflatable arm flailing tube guy.
That's exactly what I was thinking about. You could 100% be the spokesperson for them.
I think... fuck it. Too much work.
You know what? You've already tried other careers.
Like what?
Being sexy.
That didn't work out. But I got married.
So now you don't have to worry about it. It's perfect.
Yeah, I've just settled in. I'm wearing a fucking Star Wars Death Star t-shirt and, I don't know, shorts with... I don't know, there's some kind of stain on it I saw this morning. I think maybe I spit on myself at the range yesterday.
So I guess the key is, did you wear these clothes out in public today?
Yeah, to work.
Yeah, exactly, right?
But I have a work uniform, so
Nobody really saw you.
Ooh, funny story about clothing.
Mm-hmm.
So when Lauren and I went to look at engagement rings for her,
much to your dismay,
from work, and I came from work, and what I wore to work that day, then changed in my work uniform, was a Doctor Who t-shirt, and she didn't like that very much because I didn't look like an adult.
So she was unhappy that you wore a Doctor Who t-shirt to your engagement ring appointment.
Mucho unhappy. But I feel like we just had two different opinions about that whole thing, because her opinion was, if you're going to do a big adult thing like buying an engagement ring, maybe you should look like an adult. And my opinion was, if I'm going to spend a bunch of money on an engagement ring, I'll wear whatever the fuck I want to wear.
I definitely vaguely remember this, and I didn't ever associate it to engagement ring shopping, but I do remember that there were a few times where high level it was said that Lauren thought you should be dressing more appropriately, whatever that means. So that definitely makes me chuckle.
I like the fact that she really attempts to keep me in check. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I mean, it works here and there, but I also say
it's a big job for her.
I think if she could get paid for it, she'd do well. I love radio silence. Does anyone else love that? It's great.
Isn't it awesome? I think what I've seen of Lauren's work is that you are a very handsome, well-dressed man when she gets her hands on you. So, it's not all bad.
And sometimes a well-undressed man when she gets her hands on me. Giggity, giggity.
Exactly. Yes, exactly.
I think I might have to calm it down for the rest of the episode. I feel like I'm getting too heated here.
Heated as in you're getting too excited, or what's going on?
Yeah, a little too excited.
Ooh, that's good.
Yeah, I've got kind of a...
Bring that energy.
I got like a Joe Pesci thing going on right now,
That's scary, and I think, yes, only a few of us can handle that for so long.
Yeah, unless they make more good Home Alone movies, then we could take it for a long time.
Which I would be totally okay with, given that it's one of my favorite movies of all time.
Which one?
Home Alone.
Which one?
The first one. Is there any
Okay,
other
that's right.
answer? I know you love the bird lady.
Oh, she's so adorable. She's like a mixture of Mrs. Doubtfire and Mary Poppins and homeless.
Yeah, exactly. The homeless piece is quite important.
But she's so caring. Oh.
Oh, well, yes. Whatever warms your sweet little heart, right?
Feeding the birds.
There you go.
Tuppence
So
a
here
bag.
we are, mid-August already. Can you believe it? Have you feel like you have seized the summer, Jordan?
I've done well. We've camped a few times. I've golfed probably 2 to 3 times a week, almost every week. I sit on my deck a lot. I barbecued quite a bit.
Yep.
I'm seasoned. Summer's
think
been
so.
seized.
That's what I think, based on what I've heard.
Well, and yourself, I mean, I hear there's a trip to Shakespeare in the Park tonight.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we've done pretty good as well in terms of getting out more to, city festivals or, summer events. We have just participated the last 2 weeks in Calgary Fringe Fest, which, I suppose is indoors once you get there, but it was kind of all around Inglewood, so we got to sit on a couple patios in between and have some meals and stuff, so that was fun. And yeah, Shakespeare in the Park tonight. I've always wanted to do that, so go enjoy the weather there. Also
I've never wanted to do that.
enjoy the weather.
Nope, Shakespeare in the Park.
No?
I don't really care too much to see potentially subpar amateur actors try to pull off Shakespeare.
I think the cool thing about this, though, is that it is run by Theatre Calgary, so it's not some, totally grassroots theatre company that is extremely amateur. I mean, yes, obviously it's not going to be their regular caliber, but I just feel like it's backed by a reputable company in the city. So I don't know. We'll see after today. I think, too, it'll be interesting. I'm not even going to be able to tell you which play because I'm going to butcher it. I think it's Two Gentlemen in Verona. That's probably wrong, and I'm sorry for any Shakespeare buffs that are angry because I don't know the name.
Wasn't it called Two Gentlemen and a Baby in Verona?
Right. Yeah. And then something about 4 funerals, too. Might as well throw that in.
I was going to try to make that joke after. Thank you.
And
that's the end of the episode, everybody. We did well.
Our minds have officially merged into one.
Now, I'm going to change my answer, though. Yep. I threw in an amateur thing there. I didn't want to see amateurs do Shakespeare. I think I'm going to change it to I don't give a shit to see anybody do Shakespeare. Don't know if Shakespeare's my thing.
Yeah, I'll see. I mean, I'll either love it or I'll think it's okay. I was just telling you before we started this episode, looks like from the cast list that a friend's sister is in the cast, so that's somewhat random. She's someone that we know but haven't seen in a long time, so not that that really means anything. She's not someone I'm close to, but I think just looking up on the stage and being like, hey, I know that person. That's not something I get to do very often.
I hope she plays the Tom Selleck role.
I'll let you know. If she does, I'll let you know.
Ooh, or the Hugh Grant role.
Pretty sure she's playing a female role.
I can't remember that lady's name.
Yeah. So, I mean, the fun thing is, people bring their blankets and picnics and stuff. So we don't have a ton of time to throw a huge fancy picnic together, but we're going to stop and get something to take with us. And then the better thing would be if you could just get totally wasted on the hill. But I don't think we're going to be doing that either because we would have had to hide it somehow. And it's not going to happen. So we'll just sit there and behave ourselves and watch some theater and then mosey on home.
Would you like a Jordan trick? The youth these days are calling them hacks. Would you like a Jordan hack?
Can I get a life hack?
No, it's a Jordan hack.
A Jordan life hack, yes.
That's close enough. What you do is you take a Coke bottle, you drink some of the Coke, and then you pour whatever you want in there. And I don't understand how people wouldn't know this and already have this prepared. Good Lord.
Yeah, no, I totally could. But First of all, I have no Coke bottle. So that's the first issue here.
Ah, you're
And
fucked.
it's a legitimate issue.
The second point, it really drives me nuts that it's only North America where you can't just grab a bottle of wine and take it to a festival with you. What the fuck is the problem with two people enjoying a bottle or four of wine in a park and not causing an issue? If you're causing an issue, then yeah, fucking arrest the shit. But if you're not causing any issues, who cares? I
Yeah.
might as well be eating fucking sushi.
Yep, I agree.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
because it comes down to personal accountability, like you said. I mean, idiots will do idiotic things whether they have alcohol in them or not. Responsible people can still be responsible with some alcohol in them. So, yeah, don't make someone turn themselves into one. I totally agree with you.
I just don't love the idea of legislating everything. Like, there's a rule for everything. There's no just fucking be smart or else you're going to be in trouble.
Yep. Yeah. We get to a point in society where everything is governed so much that, you can't hardly turn in any direction without finding some sort of rule. You're totally right. And, rules that don't really protect anybody at the end of the day.
Not
We've
overly.
created so many rules. What are the risk factors to drinking in a park? Well, maybe you drove there. Well, you need to know by now already that you can't drink and drive. And if you don't know that at the park, you're not going to know that anywhere. So you're already a societal problem. Yes, people get belligerent. But again, if you're the kind of person that's going to go to a public event and get belligerent, then you're going to be the kind of person that could get belligerent anywhere. So I don't see, whether you've had alcohol or not, why that matters.
Well, and alcohol specifically is not one of those things that necessarily bothers anyone else. So if I'm sitting in a park and sipping on a beer, nobody else is actually affected by that. Now, if I was sitting in a park and smoking a joint or a cigar or a cigarette, that just gets passed on and you can't do anything about it. I can understand saying you can't ingest something that then is in proxy ingested by other people, but I'm not walking around like bird baby feeding beer into other people. There you go, little one.
Could you?
No,
Could you, though?
It's my beer.
That's a really good point, though. Your consumption of alcohol isn't affecting anybody. If it is, through your actions, again, we've got a bigger problem than just consuming alcohol. And you know what? There are people that cannot hold their alcohol in a public setting without getting belligerent. But between chaining up a section of a concert area and calling it a beer gardens and having someone go in there and get shit-faced and act like an idiot, or having them sit in a park and get shit-faced and act like an idiot, in both scenarios, they're still not allowed to be acting like an idiot, which is the issue. So not letting responsible people have alcohol, like you said, why can't we get with the times of other countries where they're totally fine with it?
I'm amazed by the whole beer gardens thing, because when we went up to see Slayer, if you remember, there's probably a third of the auditorium that's beer gardens.
Yeah,
However,
totally.
as soon as you finish your 9 beers, you can walk out on the floor as shit-canned as anybody and enjoy the rest of the concert. Then go back and have 9 more beers and come out and piss your pants in the mosh pit. Like, what the fuck? And it always comes down to liquor laws. So at the golf course, I know you can no longer order liquor, they cannot sell you liquor before 10 a.m. However, at 10:01, you can get annihilated, but you're just not allowed to do it in the morning. And I think a portion of it is they're trying to protect people from becoming alcoholics. Well, fuck off. If you're going to be, like, just because you're not selling it doesn't mean people don't bring it in their bag.
Yeah, well, good point. Yeah. Well, and I mean, I think it's naive to assume that by creating a rule that says on my space you will not drink before 10 has any influence at all on whether you've turned someone into an alcoholic or not. I am no more likely to become an alcoholic or to have a problem, even on that day with liquor, if you let me drink it at 10 or you didn't, because I still have a choice to make. And if I'm going to have a problem with liquor that day. It's going to happen whether I start drinking at 10:01 or 9:59. So yeah,
Basically,
it's
what you
silly.
said is it's totally up to you if you have a problem with liquor or not, and you totally made it sound like I'm gonna do it anyways.
Right? I know as I was saying that, I realized it sounds like I have a problem that I'm trying to justify. But
But
anyone that knows me knows that if I have a problem, it's not liquor.
no,
It
it
might
was
be
my
food.
decision too. Like, whoa, now I'm the one who decided to become an alcoholic.
Don't take that away from me.
It's all I have. It's me in the bottle to the end, bro.
That's awesome. So, what else are you going to do in the next few weeks then to enjoy this last part of summer? Because you know what? We're going to blink and it's going to be over. So, what do you have on the docket that you're really looking forward to?
The Lauren side of the family, we're all going up to Fairmont for a weekend, actually. So that's
Oh,
not
nice.
this coming weekend, but the one after. We're
Oh,
going to stay in
awesome.
the trailer, and I don't know. I think we're going to enjoy the lake. I'm checking out some golf courses right now to see if I can find some half-decent prices. Um, what the heck else do I have going on? I feel like there's something else. Maybe I thought I heard of like a I don't know. I guess what I'm saying is I'm hoping to get out camping again.
Yep.
Maybe hopefully early-ish September because I don't want to camp in the winter. And
Yep.
then honestly, just some more golf.
Yeah,
Um,
that's perfect. I mean,
trying to
you've golfed more this year than you have in recent years,
uh,
I think, from my perspective.
potentially ever because I don't even think when I was a junior I went out this much. I just didn't have the desire to go and spend my time at the course when I felt like there were a lot of other things I wanted to do: watch movies, eat candy, drink Slurpees, uh, borderline diabetes, those kinds of things.
Right, exactly. Those things take up a lot of time. You can't underestimate how much
It
time
is
that takes.
it is fucking hard to not trapeze. Yeah, it's trapeze when you walk across the whole. Oh, what the fuck am I talking about?
Tightrope walk?
There we go, the tightrope people.
Well,
Fwah, fwah, Jordan just got his head into it. I'm back in the podcast, everybody. Welcome. Yeah, it's very. I was
welcome
gonna say
back.
it's very difficult to tightrope walk between diabetes and not diabetes. Like it's a
Right?
fine line, people. You ever tried to tightrope walk on dental floss? That's what it is.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I know. I noticed on the topic of 7-Eleven, which I haven't had a Slurpee in a while. Once in a blue moon, I would have one now, but I mean, I agree with you. I think back to my youth. And at one point, I lived 2 doors down from a 7-Eleven, and I know where you grew up, you were close to one as well. The amount of Slurpees I consumed as a child was ridiculous. Like, how many years I took off my life for that alone, I don't even know. But anyway, I noticed they have flavors now like Sour Patch Kids and gummy bears. And I'm like, okay, you've taken something that was already inherently sweet and awesome for kids, and now you're morphing it into the flavors of their favorite candy. I, I don't remember ever having candy flavors when we were a kid, but man, other than bubblegum, they had bubblegum, which I always liked, but what the heck?
I don't I don't even understand Slurpees in general anymore. I'm aware it's one of those things in my past, like I'm aware it happened. I just I can't fathom drinking one ever again. That's probably it's not a rule. I've said this before. I don't necessarily make rules in my life, but I got a pretty strong guideline that I'm never gonna have a Slurpee again. Because even just the syrupy thought of them kind of makes me sick.
I think last year or the year before, we had a really hot game when we were playing slow pitch, and
Mm-hmm.
Trav went to Max to use the bathroom, and he ran
Yep.
out of Slurpees. That was fun. Like, to me, a special occasion Slurpee on a really hot day with a team, like, I actually really enjoyed that. But what blows my mind is there are adults, and I don't know who they are, but there must be adults who go almost daily, if not daily, to consume a Slurpee. And that blows my mind.
My brother and his wife do that quite often. They'll bring him to my parents' house when we go over for dinner. And I mean, whatever, make your own choices, but
Hmm.
it's not something that I can fathom consuming. And since you brought up that softball game, I remember having about 4 sips, and I couldn't do it after that. I don't want to drink straight syrup anymore.
Right. Yeah. Well, and I mean, really, this isn't necessarily, it's not a commentary against Slurpees in general, because honestly, if you have a milkshake, it's really no different than having a Slurpee from a sugar consumption perspective. And, there's other factors in a milkshake. But more than anything, it's not even like, if you consume a Slurpee semi-regularly, or it's a treat for you, that's cool. I can't imagine, it never even crosses my mind now to think, you know what I need? I need a Slurpee.
No, I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
It's
just weird how you grow out of certain things.
Oh, totally. It has nothing to do with the Slurpee itself. That's not the knocking point. It's just that there are certain things that you grow out of, and I can't imagine having that ever again. I'm trying to think of something else. Like, there would definitely be things that I had as a kid that I just... Yeah. Oh, like Nutri-Grain bars. Never. I will fucking never have another Nutri-Grain bar. But my God, I ate those things all the time. Or like ham and cheese sandwiches. I've got
Kool-Aid.
So many things in my life that are not a ham and cheese sandwich now. Yeah, Kool-Aid's a good one.
Kool-Aid was a big one when I was a kid. And again, it's just like you think back, you drank a lot of it as a kid. But now, and I mean, a lot of it is education over the years, right? Like when we were kids, it was a bit of a different story. But I mean, I feel like now it's blasphemous to think about drinking Kool-Aid daily or to make bucket loads of Kool-Aid for your kid. And I'm not saying that people don't do it. And again, this isn't not a judgment on people's parenting decisions at all. Because if you make Kool-Aid for your kids now, congratulations. You were like my parents were, 15 years ago. But I guess 20 years ago now. We're getting old. But it's just more, you get so out of touch with that. Like, even Fruit by the Foot, Gushers, like, there must be kids still eating that food, but you point, wow, I don't know what happened to that food because I don't eat it anymore.
You know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, Gatorade's one for me. I used to go to 7-Eleven like when Gatorade and Powerade came out, and I had very strong opinions between Gatorade and Powerade because Powerade was so much sweeter. I thought that was just the bomb. And this is probably the first full Gatorade that I will have had in, you're probably right, about 15 years.
Wow. So it's not G2 then, it's a full sugar Gatorade.
This one is just G.
G, just G.
One might say the OG.
Yeah, it's funny how things change. That's kind of interesting, actually. So, cool.
Ooh,
well,
segue.
Ooh, okay.
So how things change. We brought this up the other night at dinner. I said, what would be the funniest TV show that you think you've ever watched?
Right.
Did you have an answer, or was I the only one answering?
I feel the joke answers that you were offended by, and then you basically ignored me, because neither of them were really that true.
Touché.
Okay, I have a real answer, though. But okay. Funniest is too big of a category. I'm not going to be able to say this is the funniest ever, because it's not, and I have a very short memory. I will say one of the funnier things I watched in recent history was Little Britain.
Really?
That's a funny little sketch comedy show. I really laughed a lot.
I am dumbfounded that you watched a British show and found it funny.
I am just as shocked as you are, honestly. Brad had Little Britain in the stuff that he brought, and I looked at it, and he said, oh, yeah, that's really funny. We should watch it. And I kind of looked at him, and I was like, no. For the reason that you just said. I'm like, it's British. There's no way I'm going to find this funny. It's really hilarious, actually. I thought it was really well done. So, yeah, I can find British humor funny.
That makes me want, on a future podcast, for you to numerically, undoubtedly list your top 5 favorite black and white movies.
Me?
Yeah.
You want me to go?
On a future podcast, I'm saying,
okay,
you hate black and white, as far as I know, and I could never see you liking a British show. So I am just...
You're challenging me now.
This is an imperfect image right here.
Well, I think one thing I've learned over the years, in a lot of different ways, is that every preconceived notion I had before is pretty much wrong. Like, I used to think I didn't like anything that was made before I was born, movies or TV shows or music. And I mean, TV shows, well, I don't watch a lot of TV now, so I can't speak to that. But there are a lot of movies now that I've been watching that are more retro than, when I was born, that I really enjoy. So, and of course music, well, that's silly. But I used to just, kind of arbitrarily say, nope, I'm not going to like that, it's too old. And that's just silly.
Yes. That's all I had to say.
Was it blank?
What was what blank?
I didn't hear you say anything. And then I heard you say, because I hear nothing. Like an empty silence. And then I hear you crystal clear come through and say, that's all I have to say. So I thought you saying something was you saying nothing.
The fun part of that is that now you're going to have to listen back to this episode, which actually gets us another listen, which adds to our statistics, and we'll think we're really cool. Right. Also, I'm hoping that you hear in the episode the same, internet glitchy things that I'm hearing on this end. Because you'll be talking, and then it's just like, whang, and then you'll start talking again. It's fantastic.
See, and that's not great, because I don't know, obviously, that you're not hearing me well, but I'm also having moments where I don't hear you, and I am always a little bit worried about if I've missed something. So, technical difficulties, we have them on occasion. It's not the best.
Well, I'm hoping in the future you guys get a new computer and we can hook up a microphone to it and you can just speak into a microphone instead of... I'm assuming you're speaking through earbuds with a microphone on them?
Yeah, I'm speaking through a headset in my phone.
Yeah.
Which maybe is a problem, but it's funny. Sometimes it's perfect. Sometimes it's not.
Well, and you were saying the other day maybe it was the internet at work or whatever... And obviously it's not that, because if it's doing it now, then as far as I know, you're not at work.
Well, I'm not at work, but I'm not home either. I'm in an in-between.
Oh, this is fun.
Right?
Where is Ashley?
But I'm on good internet, so that's the weird thing. I'm on a strong Starbucks signal. So if it doesn't work now, I'm not sure what that means.
Maybe this is just Starbucks fucking with society. They're like, you're not recording a podcast on our Wi-Fi. This is a coffee shop meant for drinking coffee, and that's all. Thanks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I find... So I'm getting done work a little bit later these days, usually just around 5 or shortly before or after. And... if I were to walk home and get settled before we record, which sometimes is the option, or what have you, but it depends what I've got going on. If I do that, now I'm 20 minutes delayed, and that puts us behind. So, yeah, I thought, okay, well, in order to start on time, because like I said, I have a play later, so I thought this is a good time to do it. I won't walk home until I'm done. And I had a whole plan, and I had a good Starbucks connection, but maybe it's just not good enough.
I am hoping and so happy that you could be sacrificing for our fan.
Sacrificing in what way?
Well, you didn't go home right away.
Oh,
your man might be there. You're sacrificing happiness, sitting there at grumpy old Starbucks, who just talked negatively about our podcast, and you're satisfying our fan.
I love how I'm noticing very specifically that you're no S. There's no plural there. It's fan.
Are you sure that's not your internet cutting out? We should ask our fan.
No, I'm pretty confident. I'm curious to know who you give the honor of being our one and only fan.
I know of a couple of regular listeners, so, I'm being funny. It's a comedy podcast. I'm having fun, using the words, making the jokes.
It's pretty awesome, I gotta tell you.
I got a topic for you.
Ooh, I'd love one.
Jordan watched a movie.
Well, one
I
of our
know.
original segments. That's perfect. And what movie did you watch?
Jordan, that's me,
Yep.
watched Deadpool 2.
Da, 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 da.
Have you seen
And
it?
that's one I haven't seen yet, actually.
Oh, you saw the first one?
Uh, I saw the first one, yeah. I
And what did you
intended
think?
to see the second one.
First
First
one?
one's funny. I mean, I enjoyed it, yeah.
So, in some aspects, I like this one better. In some aspects,
Okay.
not even close. And I think the aspects that maybe I like this one better are a couple of, say, the performances. I really don't want to give anything away because I think this is actually one people will see. A couple of the actors I thought were really good. Potential, I don't want to call them plot twists, but interesting plot points, very good as well. The joke seemed a little more forced, and there was one character death that I didn't really understand, and then maybe came to grips with at the end. So by the end, I was happier with the movie than I was all the way through. Like maybe the last 5 to 10 minutes.
Okay. Well, that's big then.
I have a good hunch that Deadpool is going to come into the rest of the Marvel Universe.
Okay.
I'm
What
not
left you
explaining
with
why.
that? Okay.
I'm just saying I have a hunch.
You heard it here first, folks. Jordan's prediction.
If I'm linking things up properly, there's a good potential. And if not, I think this storyline will carry on into the next phase of the Marvel Universe.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's interesting. I think Deadpool is just a crowd favorite as it stands. And I think a lot of people, again, there's certain characters in the comic book realm of movies that tend to draw in even more non-comic book fans than the rest of them. And I'd say Deadpool is one of them.
Very much.
The comedic element of Deadpool brought a lot of people in that normally wouldn't think twice about a movie like that, I think.
They nailed a few things. They nailed the comedic element. They nailed having Ryan Reynolds as the star. And they've really nailed this balance between a really good movie, but also making fun of itself. And I find that's even rare in comedies. Like you might take, say, an Austin Powers, where they do break the fourth wall every once in a while, and he'll look at the camera, and you can tell that the makers of the movie knew that the movie was ridiculous, but far too often, I can't think of an example. I'm trying to think of maybe some of the Hangover movies, those types of things. Mm-hmm. It's like they're really taking their own comedy seriously. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
So it's the difference between the British versions of shows and a lot of the time the American versions of shows. The one that bridged the gap really well was The Office. Like I've seen a few scenes of the American one and I've seen all of the British one, and they do bridge that very well where it's like the British one doesn't take itself overly seriously and the US one also doesn't. But again, I think that's only because they got Steve Carell and really nailed that lead. Just like in Deadpool, I think if they had anyone except Ryan Reynolds, I don't know if it would have worked properly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, he really had the right vibe for that type of comedy and that type of humor. And just the way that he was made it even better. Because it's kind of like a sarcasm that I think he can deliver very well.
Very much so, yeah. Apparently, and I've never really looked into it, but his Twitter account is like that all the time. Like, his Twitter account basically is Deadpool's character.
Deadpool? Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, no, I hadn't heard anything like that, but that doesn't surprise me. He seems like one of those guys that would be consistently funny, no matter what.
Yeah, I would agree with that for sure.
So you are probably ahead on the movie count then from me. Now, it's crazy because normally I was seeing like 2 to 3 movies a week there for a while, but I think one thing that's kind of interesting right now for me is that And I love movies, as you know. And I mean, I saw a few before summer started, but right now I keep thinking, okay, movie or, something where there's an element of outside. And we've been just having such nice weather that I'm choosing the outside choice almost every time. And I mean, as you know, for me, generally speaking, I like to watch most of my movies in the theater because that's just the style that I like. So, I mean, tonight is a good example. We could have stopped at the movie theater instead, but it's like, oh, let's go watch this play outside and enjoy the sun. So I think
Well,
my movie watching will pick up again in the fall.
I wasn't really looking at what the weather was supposed to be like, but it's 30 degrees out there today. Like, it's absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, and we've been having a lot of that, it seems. Like, yeah, there's been thunderstorms and stuff, but even just, oh, we could go to a movie or we could stay home and barbecue tonight. It's like, oh, let's barbecue, and that takes a little longer and we're not going to rush. Like, when you're not done work and home till about 5:30, most movies starting at 7, if you're wanting to have any sort of dinner at home, you cannot make it, right?
Now,
it's too rushed.
This brings up a question.
Yep.
Are you ready?
Oh, I'm ready.
How is the weather affecting you today?
Ooh, yes, my favorite segment of the podcast.
Are you going to answer?
Let me tell you how the weather is affecting me today. I believe that it will mean that I don't have to put on a sweater as early tonight. That's how the weather's affecting me today.
Very interesting. I'm going to build on that. The weather yesterday was affecting me such that I opened the bedroom window and didn't have to turn on the fan when I went to bed.
Really?
It was a little chillier. I even found that this morning I had to put a jacket on in the morning. Then later on in the morning, when I opted to go to Tim Hortons for a coffee, I left my work shoes on rather than putting my flip-flops back on because my tootsies would have gotten cold.
I hear you. There's been a chill in the air. That's crazy is that we are heading about plus 30, and then the temperature's dropping down to, 8 or 9 or whatever, and that's making it chilly. So yeah, it's kind of nuts.
Yeah, there's very large swings from day to night.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I mean, if you're anybody who's affected by the weather, I'm sure that's not very fun for you.
It's not, but you know what I would like to hear is why it's not fun for them. Please write us at imperfectimagepod@gmail.com and let us know today, how is the weather affecting you?
Exactly. We care about nothing more than we care about how the weather is affecting you.
I don't know if that's true, Ashley, because you know what else I care about is the shit Ashley says.
Ooh, yes. We need to restore that. Did you look and see if you could find the old notes on your computer?
No, but I'm working on these things. Give me a fucking break. Today, on Shit Ashley Says, we go to the top of the list on list 5 of Shit Ashley Says, and we go into a little ditty that goes like this. In Ashley's words, I love everything that pops up.
See, I'm surprised that's list 5 already. That feels like one of the classics from Shit Ashley Says.
I wish I had a best of or something, but I just don't, Ash.
How could you really choose? They all are a best of in their own right,
Oh, I know. Oh, I know good.
Unfortunately, you have to have the context to understand why, but, they all have that charm to them.
They do. It's an adorable list full of absolutely inane comments. Wow.
It's pretty much nonsense, really, at the end of the day.
Pure and utter nonsense. Which brings up, what else are you doing for the summer?
Wonderful. Yeah, I'm glad we got back to that. So I think my main things that I have left on my plate for this summer are a long weekend trip to BC. Brad and I are going to Revelstoke for a September long weekend.
Oh, right. When's that? Start of September?
August 31st is the Friday. We've both taken that day off.
Right.
We're going for 2 nights. It's a pretty quick trip, but we want to be back for the Monday Labor Day Classic game because I got tickets and
oh yeah,
gonna take Brad to a Stamps game and see what he thinks of that. So Yeah, not that I'm not making it sound like. Sorry, I'm making it sound like he's never seen football before, and that's clearly not the case. But
Go
I just
Bills.
just want to show him the atmosphere of the Stamp. So, yeah, so we're going to take the Friday and have an extra long weekend. So that'll be great. I haven't been to BC just for travel in a while. I mean, that's where you and Lauren honeymooned, not in Revelstoke, but in BC. And there's lots to do there, so it'll be fun.
Why Revelstoke?
Revelstoke, well, this whole weekend was Brad's choice and planning. So he would be the best person to answer that question as to why. But I think he was just looking at different options. I think Revelstoke is nice because it's not quite as far as getting into the Okanagan, and we're not gone that long.
Right.
And it's a bit better. This is just my interpretation anyway. This is a bit better choice than Golden in terms of things to do. When we researched the things to do list, there's quite a lot going on in Revelstoke actually. That we can do lots of little falls and mini hikes that we're interested in,
Yep.
and there's going to be a brewery that we check out. There's a few things. I think we had a list of about 10 things. So
you're looking just under 5 hours to get there, hey?
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks, Google
One
Maps.
thing I think Brad and I almost enjoy the drive just as much as anything else. He really likes road trips.
Yep.
And I totally get that. I mean, it's fun for us because we just both put on the music. Well, we put on a set of music, not our own music. That would be weird. And belt out the tunes. And I mean, road trips are fun if you make them fun, right? They can be tedious, but I mean, one of our first adventures was a road trip. So I guess we kind of have that in mind and enjoy just the event of going in the car. So, and plus I find that drive really beautiful. I like that drive. It's a little bit bad with traffic, like in terms of you're not going to go fast, but that's okay. It's beautiful.
See, and I can do about that. Like 5 hours in a day is comfortable and just on the verge of, I don't know about this. Like going to Montana, right? Say maybe 2.5 to 3 hours to the border and then kind of 2.5 hours ish past that. More than comfortable.
Right.
Anything getting into kind of like the 6 and further, it just starts to wear on me. I don't care how much mbop you put on the radio, I can't do it.
Yeah, that's fair. I think for comfort, you're probably right. Anything beyond that, and I think it somewhat becomes a chore, the aspect of driving, depending on who you are. Like, we've talked, and we're going to do it actually at the end of September, about driving to Manitoba and back for an extended long weekend. And I mean, that's a long trip to go on for a weekend, but it's doable. So, but you go out on Friday and you come back on Sunday. And
you've also done that trip enough times that the travel is comfortable. Like when I was a kid, going out to Carstairs from Calgary felt like forever, and that's one reason I didn't want to go to the golf course a lot, was it seemed to take so long. However, now as an adult, it's like around the corner. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, you're right. Perspective that way is huge, because I totally agree with you where it's like now, what used to be torturous feels like nothing. So, I mean, we're probably better than average in terms of enjoying road trips, just because I think both Brad and I have lots of road trip history in our past. I always seem to drive even when flying's an option because I end up choosing the cheap version, and that's really pertaining to Manitoba. But anyway, that was a long-winded version of that trip. So I'm really excited. I think another thing that's nice is Revelstoke is somewhere I've stopped, but I've never actually spent time in and explored. So it will be new for me as well as obviously new for Brad. So sometimes that's fun too. Sometimes it's fun to go somewhere I've been. So it's just, there's good reasons for all of it. So yeah.
I'm thinking of places that you've driven through but never really stopped before. Like Revelstoke is a great version of that. I would say for me, Golden is a version of that. And then
Yep.
for me, I would even say the city of Vancouver is a version of that, because I've been to, say, White Rock before. We had family that lived in White Rock when I was younger, but I don't know that I've really spent more than about a day and a half in Vancouver, and that was for a course. And
Right.
the only thing I remember doing at night was getting a 4-pack of Guinness and a foot-long meatball sub and watching the Green Lantern movie. Also Ryan Reynolds,
I remember that.
not as good.
I remember talking to you that night for sure.
It was
Yeah.
a memorable night because I only had 4 Guinness. Other than that, not overly memorable.
I think for me, that would mostly apply to the places you mentioned, Golden and Revelstoke. And then, yeah, I was going to name some places in Saskatchewan, but I realized that nobody cares, so
No
that's
one wants
irrelevant.
to stop there. No, that's why you drive through.
I don't know, most other places I've stopped, like, coming back to Saskatchewan, even though no one cares, like even places like Moose Jaw, Swift Current, I have spent a night there or whatever. So yes, there's more I could do, but those are obviously not destinations for most people.
That's not where you're going to have your destination wedding?
No, that
Pay
would
for
be
the whole
funny,
family to go to Swift Current?
That would be hilarious, actually, if you made some big event about having a destination wedding and then you chose Swift Current.
Well, it's closer and not everyone has to fly, so you have that driving option.
Exactly. It's beautiful. I love it. That's really funny. I also don't hate Saskatchewan the way that most people do.
No, it's
probably the
mostly a
Manitoba in
joke.
me.
It's not
Yeah.
Edmonton, it's Saskatchewan.
So you're saying you'd rather go to Saskatchewan than Edmonton?
Yeah,
Ooh, interesting. Very interesting.
like any time.
That's funny. Yeah, so that's my big summer adventure. I mean, if you want to consider that fall starts in September, yeah, I guess that's kind of it that's left. But there'll be little things that we do. We're going to check out probably a few more festivals. I'm not sure which ones. I missed Taste of Calgary last weekend because there just wasn't time. That's the other thing. There's more things in this city in the summer I would do if I had time, but when the summer hits and we have 2 months of good weather, I think the city of Calgary just dumps like 5 festivals a weekend on you and says, okay, pick. Well, and we just don't have the time otherwise. So
I'm very much subscribing to this idea this year that I only have time for certain things. Or there's only so much time, so I have to fill that and prioritize what I really want to be doing. Like, I paid for a golf membership, so I'm going to use that fairly much as possible. Like, I didn't go tonight. I think I'm probably just going to watch Solo, a Star Wars story, tonight. And that's about it. I just don't have, like, I already cooked dinner. I don't have time to go to the course. And I definitely don't have time to go to a friggin' festival today. Because Star Wars is beckoning.
what are you eating for dinner when you have your Star Wars movie?
I made barbecued pork chops, as well as corn on the cob. And I did some rice with a little lime juice and some onions from the garden.
Oh, that sounds lovely. That sounds really good.
So
I have to say, you and Lauren do rice well at your house.
I'm hoping this one turns out well. I was unsure of the lime juice in jasmine rice, but you know what? If it's bad, I'm going to scarf it anyways.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure. Why not? I also had corn yesterday. I thought we'd try Tabor corn because, Tabor corn's everywhere right now. And you know what? Man, it was freaking delicious. I have to tell you, it was good.
That's what I'm waiting for, because this is Tabor as well.
And this is big for you. I think last podcast you spoke of your lack of desire to eat corn on most days, but I think in this podcast you said you don't have hard and fast rules. So I think you just proved yourself.
Rules. So when my dad picks me up for golf on the weekend and says, "Here's 4 heads of Tabor corn," ears of Tabor corn, I'm going to cook it and I'm going to eat it, because I also don't like to waste food because I don't have that much money.
I love it. And that's exactly Jordan McWhorter to a T. Jordan McWhorter has opinions, and he is not afraid to express them, but he doesn't make rules that he will never break, because that's silly and it sets you up for failure. So you just proved everything you said to be true with that one story.
So are you saying everyone should be more like me?
I think that's what I'm saying. If you can take one message away from this episode 21, our becoming a young adult episode, if you can take one message away, it's that Jordan has a lot of wisdom and you should follow it.
I can agree with that, and I think that's a great place to finish the podcast.
Perfect. I'll leave you with that warm note, and thanks for tuning in, everyone.
Yep, we thank you very much. 21 episodes in, going strong, growing pubes.
Woohoo!
All right,
Have a
see
good
you
night.
next time. Ta-ta.
Bye.